Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you're well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more relationship stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too. Let's crack on with today's first story. Now today's first story comes from Getting Me Fired, who says, I think my girlfriend has been trying to get me fired from all my jobs. I'm shaken. Please help me. I'm male 24 and I've been with my girlfriend, female 29, let's call her Janice, for 2.5 years. I just finished my education when we started dating and I've been doing all sorts of jobs since, sometimes 2 at a time. I did expand this to my resume and gather job experience. I worked in cafes, bookstores, a library, a grocery store, and as an English tutor. Most of these jobs lasted about 3 to 5 months. My shortest stay was 2.5 weeks, my longest 8 months, but since I didn't have a hard time applying for new positions, I tried to block it out, though it was kind of eating me up internally. People called to complain about me, people left bad reviews about me, people used my employee Wi-Fi access to look up sketchy things on the internet under my name. Former employees called to inform them about me, right name and all, and much more subtle stuff than I couldn't disprove. But I was too anxious to do anything about it. I just told my girlfriend, she comforted me, she supported me every time I got my life ruined by these people. But I kept going, though they kept finding me. Fast forward to this week, I currently hold a part-time position at a bakery. I've been working there for 2.5 months. It's going okay, but my manager approached me about something regarding our Google reviews. Someone was complaining about an employee and their description of them could only really fit me. It was on a day where we're pretty short of staff, so I could have been the only person in the store on that day for all I know. Anyway, their review contained some pretty elaborate and nasty comments about me. This happened on 1 or 2 of my jobs already. I told my manager that it was all pretty bogus and that someone had a vendetta against me, as it has happened before. She believed me and told me that she had dismissed the comment. On my break, I checked out the review myself. Their username was kinda stupid. I'm not going to type it out here since I still work there, but I just call them Mick Myrtle, as it was in the same range of sounds kinda fake but not really. Anyway, I come home but don't tell Janice about it. She has heard it all before, so I didn't see the point in complaining about another time I lost my position. We chat and all is well and she leaves the room. Her phone is on the table, and suddenly she gets a notification or an email of some sort from Google. I don't remember what it said exactly, but the pop-up read something along the lines of, Mick Myrtle, manager has responded to your review. My heart dropped. I'm trying to ignore it since. This was 2 days ago. It just fit the picture of bad reviews. It fit in the picture of the phone complaints my workplaces have received about me in the past. It fits in the picture of all the sketchy things I've been fired for. Why would she do that though? I'm looking for an explanation. This literally can't be. She's the only thing keeping me sane. I don't know what to do. Now, there's no way you could stay with someone like this, and my first thought was confront her and find out what the reason was, but that's probably not the best course of action here, when she's very likely to deny and, just play it down or something along those lines. But I'd probably very much go down the route of getting that evidence that you can prove that she was the one doing this while she doesn't know that you know, if that makes sense. So you can disprove all these reviews for one, possibly, I'm no legal expert, but possibly take some sort of legal action against it as well. And of course, get out of there. How could you ever? Who would do this to someone that they love? And why? I think I'd really want to know the reason why, whether they're trying to make you dependent on them or whatever the reason is. I think for myself, and it's only for myself here, I'd want that closure. Why would you do this to me? I mean, the chances are it's just an abusive asshole, but hopefully we'll find out something in the updates. But a Deleted user says, please for the love of God, do not stay with that woman. She is sick. Who the hell does that to someone they love? TX Lexi says, this is extreme manipulation and abuse. I feel sick to my stomach thinking about you having gone through this for years, losing job after job and being devastated and confused. The worst is you confiding in her and her knowing exactly what she did to you. I really don't understand how anyone can do this to someone they love. Please OP, for your sake, you need to leave this relationship. Some dude from Holland says, I read all the other posts and would advise you to get evidence against private detective her so you can sue her an appropriate time for loss of income, defamation, etc. Inform your manager about this. When they get complaints by phone, have them record the conversation, take down the time and phone number, etc. Install monitoring software on your laptop to secretly log who uses your laptop, webcam, and what they do/post. Get legal advice and tell them that the abusive behavior is still ongoing and you're in the process of getting evidence. Buy a second phone and store it outside the house. Use this for contact with legal advice, PI, and any communication you don't want her to know. When you have enough evidence, change your passwords and tell her you have been hacked, so you decided to change your passwords and tell her to do the same. It depends on you what to eventually do. If you have enough evidence, you can either sue or confront and go to therapy together. State of Grace says this is some serious stuff. I've read some great advice on here, but I want to stress a couple of things. First, do not confront her. If she really is this manipulative, it will not work out well. She'll either get violent or she will completely gaslight you and convince you that nothing is going on. If this has been going on for years, then she must be very good at this. Second, and probably the most important, please evaluate and recognize your mental state right now. Her manipulation has worked for 2.5 years already. She is not a good person. You don't love her. You've been brainwashed. You do need to understand this. Don't just take it from some internet stranger. Confide in a close friend, a family member, a therapist, a lawyer, anyone who you can trust who will help you see this clearly. Please, please, please don't convince yourselves to stay with this woman. Get your evidence and get out. It'll be hard for a while, but you will be better off. OP then went on to update the post around 20 days later, which says, hello people who are still invested. I'm sorry for not updating you guys earlier. A lot has been going on. First of all, yes, we broke up. That's what I'll be referring to as my ex from now on. Anyway, let's start from the beginning. On the Monday of the following week, I couldn't take the uncertainty anymore. I told my ex I needed her booking account to book a train to visit my dad for a few days. She complied, and when she was in the shower getting ready for work, I booked my ticket and started looking through her emails. After some digging, I found an email to herself which contained a spreadsheet file. I sent the file to myself, printed it out and took a screenshot. Why? The spreadsheet contained about every single information about me that there was. Numbers, email, passwords, work times, colleagues, their numbers and social medias, as well as some emails and passwords that she used for accounts to ruin my life with. Everything was on there, conveniently sorted for her to ruin my life as efficiently as possible. When she left for work, I decided it would be best to immediately pack my stuff. Nothing that mattered would be left behind. I felt like a wanted man, like I was being hunted despite nothing being seemingly out of place. I called my boss, told her I'll be taking some time off of work, and headed out to see my dad. Needless to say, he was the sanity I needed. I cried about everything I saw. I panicked for a whole 2 days straight about how my life was ruined and I didn't know what to do. I had to sleep on the couch in the guest room because I was so scared of my ex coming in. He handled it like a champ. I love you, Dad. He called the police, a lawyer, and most recently a therapist for me, because I was in the most horrible state of my entire life. We're currently sorting out the legal stuff. I haven't talked to my ex except for letting her know it was over and she's a sick psychopath. My dad handled the rest. I changed all my passwords and I'm now looking for a place to live. Sorry for the brief update. My mind is tangled. Please ask questions if you want to know more. Edit, by the way, thank you to every person who gave me advice, talked to me over DMs, and was generally concerned about me. I appreciate every single one of you. Then OP noticed that their account had a bunch of DMs when they logged on, and they said, went back on here and saw a bunch of DMs, and some of you all came here quite recently. I answered all the DMs so far, and before I let the next batch of people wait, you'd think there wouldn't be any after 2 years. I'll give you a quick update. As you can see, it's been a couple of years since the last post. We ended up not taking her to court over it. This is quite controversial, considering the abhorrent things she's done to me, but I do not regret this decision. The satisfaction of seeing her get punished would have been overshadowed by the sheer amount of dread, anxiety, and fear I would have faced in those court hearings. I was a nervous mess. I couldn't eat for weeks without throwing up. My dad had to settle most of the important stuff because I physically couldn't. Thank you, Dad. On the bright side, our lawyers settled the situation beautifully in private, and I haven't had any problems with her since, that I am aware of. I've moved houses, got a stable job, and found the closure and justice I was looking for through therapy. I hope she did as well. We've had zero contact since then, and I still haven't read any of the messages she sent me those years ago. Of course, I'm nowhere near done with my journey. I still have all of my social media accounts set to private and insist on keeping a low profile online. I still get anxiety, especially when there's problems at work, but I haven't had any panic attacks in months and my therapist has been great. I don't know how she's doing. I don't know if she's moved on or if she's seen this story float around the web. Hello YouTube, TikTok and Snapchat. I don't know how much she knows about how my life is currently going, but nothing's happened since then that I could attribute to her schemes. Sorry if this update is kind of a jumbled mess. I just woke up and I've repressed a lot of what happened. Thank you for all your kind messages. Cheers. And whilst it was a bit of a downer that OP didn't get to take her to court over what happened, because it sounds like she deserves it for what she's done to this guy, I'm really glad that OP did what was best for himself in this situation, because he talked about the dread and anxiety and fear he would have faced in those court hearings, and he was like a nervous mess and couldn't eat for weeks without throwing up. And I think it'd be very easy for me to say on the outside, who's not gone through this, to say, you should have taken her to court, like the always press charges sort of stuff. But I think in this particular scenario, I think OP really needed to do what was best for them in this scenario. They've been messed up enough and they need to move on and live their best life to the best of their ability. And I'm all for that. And I truly, truly wish you the very best going forward, my friend. Much love to you. But now I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, and let's move on to another story. And in our next story, I'm going to be reading all the updates and the main post all at once without comments in between, simply because a lot of the updates came in the main post. Therefore, some people were replying to the update, some people were not, etc. So I don't want to confuse things too much. But the story is called "My Wife Named Our Son After Her First Love, and I Had No Idea." This is my throwaway account because she knows my main account. My son is 5. About 2 days ago, we were out shopping and ran into a high school friend of hers. She was catching up when she told her friend that we had a son. When the old friend asked his name, my wife hesitated and I told her. She had a strange look on her face, then said, "You mean like your ex-boyfriend?" Our son's name is very unique, to the point I've never met a person with the same name. Now she refuses to talk to me about it. I feel betrayed and disgusted with her. It's like a switch flipped my mind and I just can't look at her the same way. Update 1. Lots of questions, so I'll go ahead and answer a few that have been mentioned a few times. I'm not giving out my son's name. When we discussed the name, I had no idea it was a high school ex's name. I knew she had one boyfriend in high school whose name was never told to me, and their relationship lasted around 2 years. I'm upset, but that doesn't automatically make me abusive. I would never raise my hand to my wife or anyone else I care about. I will always love my son and would never, and I mean never, treat him any differently. I will post an update when I talk to her, probably in a day or two. Update 2. So to get some things out of the way first, the kid is mine. I have very pronounced features that he also has, plus her ex was black and I'm white. I'm not going to throw him away, as so many comments suggested. When we were deciding on the same name, she said she remembered somebody from school who had it and instantly loved it. My wife and I both have very promiscuous past before we met and agreed that the past should stay there, so I didn't push too hard to know certain details. I knew she had one boyfriend in high school who cheated on her, but I never asked his name, and that is my fault. So, update time. Thursday, we didn't have the discussion because that is a late day at work, plus this wasn't a discussion I wanted to have with our son in the house. So Thursday night when she came in, I told her that Friday after work we needed to sit down and talk if she has any plans she needed to cancel. She looked very worried and said okay. Friday came and we sit down after her sister came to pick up our son for a sleepover. I asked why she would not tell me where our son's name came from. She said she was sorry, but she didn't think it was that big of a deal and I would not agree to it. I told her that it was my choice too, and she took that away from me. I asked her if she would feel the same way if we had a daughter and named her after one of my exes, and she said that's different. I wouldn't let that happen. She said that she knows she can disconnect the name from her ex, but she wouldn't be sure I could do the same. I was floored and starting to feel sicker than I had felt. I told her this is one of the stupidest things I've ever heard come out of someone's mouth. I moved on because I had more questions and I was about to go off on what she just said. I asked her if she loved him and she paused for a minute and then said yes, but not in the same way she loves me, and that you don't just stop loving someone, that love changes. I wanted to throw up at this point. She could see I was very upset. She smiled at me and said, I should know she only wants to be with me. I said that I needed to know how you love him. At that point, she put her hand on my leg and tried to change the subject. I told her to take her fucking hand off me right now and answer the question. Her mood changed right there from wanting to move past this to know he didn't just fucking cuss at me. She said, look, you're upset and I get that, but what is done, so you need to get over this and move on. She got up and said, I'm meeting my mum for dinner and I'll see you when I get home. I told her if you walk out that door, then no you won't. She looked at me like I was full of shit, grabbed her purse and left. I packed my bag and stayed at a friend's house last night. Right now, I'm just sitting here trying to figure out what to do next. Update 3. So I want to start out by thanking you all for the support. Most of you guys have been great with the exception of a few trolls calling me a cuck. So I came home the next day after staying the night elsewhere. She didn't really say much to me other than, hey, and went back to messing around on her laptop. I went upstairs and put my things in the guest room and laid down to take a nap because I didn't get much sleep the night before. She came in and asked what I was doing, and I told her that until she's ready to sit down and have an adult conversation about the name, then I would be sleeping in here. She rolled her eyes and said that she thought I got over it and asked why I even bothered to come home if I was going to act like this. I told her because it is my home. I'm not going to miss out on time with my son just because you don't have the ability to tell right from wrong, or at least admit it. She stormed off, and that was that for that day. The next day, I came home from work and she was on the couch waiting for me. She asked what it was going to take for us to get back to normal. I told her that we would need to see a marriage counselor first off and consider changing our son's name to his middle name. The look of rage on her face when I said the last part was something I don't think I've ever seen before. I hate to say it, but it made me a little happy to see it. She told me to go fuck myself and that was never going to happen and stormed off. We didn't talk for the rest of that day. The next day rolled around and my wife hadn't got home from work. Someone started knocking on the door and it was her parents. They said we need to talk, so I invited them in and we sat down. They said they know what she did was wrong, and they always knew, and so did her whole family and all of her friends. They apologized to me for keeping the secret and said that they agree with counseling and they'd be happy to pay for it, but changing his name is going too far. I told them thank you and that I haven't made that decision without a lot of consideration. I told them that you really don't know what you would do till you're in this situation. After a little more talking, they left and asked me not to tell my wife they stopped by. I agreed. Shortly after they left, I called around and found a counselor and made an appointment that worked with both of our schedules. When my wife came, I told her about the appointment and she just walked off not saying a word. Our appointment is Thursday and I'm still sleeping in the guest room. That's what's been going on so far. Thank you guys and I'll try to update you when I can. Edit. I just want to say I'm not going to up and change the name. It's something I'm considering. I want to talk to the counselor first to see what impact it might have, if any, and how to go about it if there are none. And unfortunately, that was the last update on that post. I did look at their comments and there was one that they commented on what was the most uncomfortable moment of your life on an Ask Reddit thread, and they replied saying we ended up getting a divorce. So I guess that was it. We're not going to find out if the name was eventually changed or anything like that. And I was shocked that the whole family and friends knew, and the parents clearly didn't feel comfortable about it because they came round and apologized to OP about it as well and said, don't tell her that we've been round here. And the name is one thing, but the fact that she just won't sit down with you at any point and have an adult conversation about it and just saying, why'd you bother coming back then? Just totally downplaying your feelings on this whole matter just made me feel ill, quite honestly. But what do you guys make of this one? What would you advise to OP in this situation? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Now, as always, a huge thank you from the bottom of my heart for getting involved in today's stories. Your love, support, and time always means the absolute world to me, so thank you so much for what you do. And if you'd like to listen to some more stories, don't forget there'll be a couple of playlists on the very end screen that you can click on, and it'll scroll through all the videos for you automatically. So whatever you're doing, and as always, don't forget to let me know, because I absolutely love to hear it whilst you're listening. The videos will just keep on coming. And thank you so much, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Take care, and much love.
Wake up, get up, stretch my legs, eat some breakfast, milk and eggs, brush my teeth up, wash my face, throw my clothes on, start my day. Wake up, I can smell the smoke from the bacon. Let's go, see the sun shining from the windows. Okay, I know that today